All right. Once again, it's write once, read many. Greg is here. So I was going to give it a moment for other people to come in since it's not the normal recording time. It's Vale. Hi, is this the international gathering of worm fans, which includes expert commentary and beautiful artwork that I have heard so much about? Yes. These are they. But, oh, Vale says, I thought so, wanted to make sure it was the right place. Yeah, definitely. So, for the audience participation question, I had, put in, which character from Brockton Bay do you want to be mayor? You, the audience member. And then for themes, I put indecision and paranoia. I feel like these are classic Taylor traits, and we see them throughout the book. She can be decisive sometimes. Bill says, oh, can I choose anyone to be the mayor, or is it reasonable explanation why? Part of the question. I mean, you can do anything that you want. The audience participation question is very open, generally, not just now. But let's see here. So I'm mostly going to be winging it. I somehow managed to never write anything, and I sat down to write on this one a good number of times, and I just nope, nothing. So we start out with Taylor waking up. It's the next morning. She's still in bed with Brian, but instead of thinking about that, she's thinking about construction work and how much of a hassle it is to deal with construction. So, you know. Oh, 2 + 4 × 5 says, I'm here, but also having dinner with my family, so I might only be half listening for the most of the stream. Fair enough, fair enough. Vale says, I guess reasonable choice would be violate suspension of disbelief. We could indeed violate our suspension of disbelief. But yeah, Taylor feels good about all her progress and stuff, and she thinks over the situation with various other people like Coyle and Trickster and whoever. And then Brian wakes up and he's like, you're kind of a weird little creep. I mean, he doesn't say that, but he says, you've been lying there since I woke up, eyes half open, staring off into space. And it's because she's busy being a whole pile of bugs. which is the most common form of the common woodland tailor is just a pile of bugs. Um, your standard oogie boogie. Um, let's see here. Taylor, admires Brian's body. She's not weirdly. She has become less of a creep. Maybe she's less horned up now after she's actually, gotten all the way with Brian. I mean, she nailed it. Got what she wanted. Um, and then she's worried about Brian, and she's like, "Do you need to see a psychiatrist, or are you good to go?" And he's like, "I don't know." And then it's like a whole thing, and they have like a rocky moment where they could have gone down like a little fight, but instead they have a nice conversation. They or no, they don't have a nice conversation yet. That's a little later. She takes a shower. She feels embarrassed. She's like, "Shower together? Oh." And then he makes some breakfast and stuffs, and um there's a moment where he's like, "It's not hygienic to keep putting bugs on plates all the time." Um and there's a good anecdote where he's like, I'm always trying to catch imp off guard by just talking into empty rooms. Which, like, I mean, it makes sense. Um, so then they do have some good back and forth here where they're talking about their pasts and crap, and they don't talk about any cape stuff, and they just have like a nice relationship moment. Um, and yeah, it's pretty good. And then where is this? Yeah, she's feeling like weird feelings about how she thinks their relationship is backwards because she didn't follow all the relationship steps. She didn't meet boy, touch hands, kiss boy, touch other things. Um, she like had fights to the death, meaningful family like struggles. Oh no, I think I forgot to turn off the notification sounds. Let's do that now. And then let's see here. So yeah, yeah, she feels weird about the relationship and feels like it's backwards, and then she also has uh she has a kind of uncomfortability with Brian being in her space when she's not there, even though they have already had sex, etc. Um, and then um, she's walking to her dad's, and then when she gets there, she finds people are actually there, which she didn't expect, and she's like, "Danger! Someone's attacked!" But then it's just her dad's friends because her dad has friends, and she thinks to herself, "Oh man, I'm glad dad has friends because I thought he was a loser. I thought my dad had no friends." Um, and it turns out she was wrong. He was a social butterfly all along. Vale says she did pass the rob bank step for a normal, healthy relationship. Yeah, she's doing a couple things in order. Um, then Danny and his friends talk to Taylor. There's a moment where one of his friends brings up Taylor's dead ma'am. She's trying to say how she was good people's, but also you're dead ma'am. Um, and then What are some other good moments from this conversation? Vic had a really weird relationship with the word tall boy. She's like, I never hear people say tall boy. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you about that. But she thought it stood out very starkly that someone would say, I've had half a tall boy. Um, uh, and I thought it sounded like a normal thing to say. But I don't know. What else do we got? Boop, 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 boo. Kurt seems like an interesting character. I think this is perhaps the only chapter where, or this and the next chapter are maybe the only chapters where we see Kurt. Um, he's just not there that often. We get the 2 plus 4 times 5 saying, Rip Annette Hebert. Greg says, half a tall boy, so a boy. Uh, 2 plus 4 times 5 says, half a tall boy, just a small boy. Oh man. And then for some reason that I don't fully follow, imped. But you know, it's because I've been imped. Unless the tall boy was imped, the small boy. Someone's been imped. So the other people are not very hopeful about the future of the city. They don't think that it'll be able to turn around, and they think it would have been better to get the pittance for their homes or whatever, and be forced to leave the city. Oh, Greg says somebody snuck in and took his joke. Very sneaky. And then none of us know who would do such a thing. Let's see here. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting conversation overall, but it's more of like character moments and almost no plotty stuff happens or like explanation of scene style stuff. So I'll just talk about these people a little more in the characters section. They reason through the idea that even if living under supervillains is in some way better than not living under supervillains previously was, either of those city establishments are very bad deals, and neither of those things are good. And Danny puts it as, I don't want to be. Oh, what is it? And it's in a response to someone saying something else, but he says, I don't want to be in hell or a slave. Wait, where is this stupid part? I'm having a hard part not finding it. I'd rather not be a slave or in hell, but sometimes I worry I'm both. Maybe we don't get the choice. And then Kurt Riley says that he's the most depressing asshole of a friend he's got. And we learn that Taylor's 16 now, because she turned 16 last week. She was probably still trying to murder people from the 9, and she's like, but now I'm 16, and I have young adult powers. Let's see here. Taylor's trying to stick up for her good name as Skitter, even though she can't argue for herself in earnest in front of these people. And that's funny. Let's see here. They go out to the cars because they're all trying to go to the debate together for the mayoral debate, and Kurt has only been drinking water, and Danny's only had that small boy, as we discussed. Um, then there's a nice moment between Danny and Taylor in the car, and he's like, it's okay. I'm glad I have friends too. Um, and then there's some nice joking along that we don't get to hear on the drive to the mayoral debate, and we're reminded that the city still has no TV or radio, so they just have old timey newspapers and in person debates. They are at I think the city hall. They say back of the auditorium. Where are they? City Hall, Capitol. Old Historical Courthouse. That's where they are. Let's see here. And so, yeah, they're at this ye old courthouse, and we can see that's the image depicted here on the artwork. And information, booths about various candidates, etc., and more know where you are posters. And, they sit down and they start listening to the debate and whatever, and they're about to begin, and then Taylor feels that with her bugs outside that, oh no, an armored limousine has pulled into the middle of the street just outside the front doors, and goddamn Coyle is here. He said that it was fine to go to the mayoral debate, and yet here he is, knowing full well Taylor's gonna be here with her dad. What a bastard. So yeah, that's the end of the chapter. I know. What a thrilling explanation. What a snake! What a coiled up snake! What a sneaked old snake. There make be snakes, as they say. Let's see here. People's 4 times 5 says Taylor, and then in quotations, just wondering, hypothetically, why don't you trust the local supervillains to run the city? Like Skitter, for example. She seems like she's cool. Danny and friends. ... Huh. Yeah. Yeah. She's just like getting more and more impassioned about like, we could all live in a zone where you eat bugs. It's not that unnatural. In fact, you should be doing it right now. Yes, they actually begin the debate. The moderator starts things off, and people kind of quiet down. And then, oh no, even though things are quiet, and even though Pigot's here and probably Triumph's here and tons of reporters are here, goddamn Coyle's still coming in, and he's got a bunch of armed dudes, and he's got capes with him. There's Circus, there's Uber and Leet, and they're running in there and they're taking the place over. This is terrible. Who could have seen this coming? And they start having different arguments. There's Keith Grove. He's one of Coyle's guys. He's a CEO type. He's the CEO of East Star Financial, so that he knows money. We've got Miss Carlene Padillo, the city councilor of communications, and then the mayor himself, Triumph's dad. He's my boy. And it's the Cape debate. I mean, they say in the actual text, crime, public safety, and the state of the city. But what they mean is it's the Cape debate. They start off the debate, and there's some scoffing back and forth, and they're like I've been working with the capes, and then they're like, you've been working with the capes, but they've been losing like losers. If I was in charge of the team, I would be winning. I'm Keith Grove. Um, and then, to keep it not looking like they're working together, these two plants, they come at each other, uh, Councilwoman, what was her name again? Padilla? Padillo. Yes, Councilwoman Padillo is also there, sniping at Keith Grove. Like, man, you suck too, though, bro. Counselor, not Councilwoman. I can't tell if it's a choice of words or if it's actually wrong. Counselor, because she's the whatever. I'll just say counselor. Um, and then Taylor's facing all sorts of indecision. She doesn't know what to do. Things are all happening so fast. Dad gets up because his son is like, I gotta leave the room or whatever, and they're walking out, and they get black bagged instantly. Coyle's guys are like the CIA up in here, and they're all ready to storm in the room, and Taylor can sense everything that's going on. She's like, I can't use my bugs too overtly, but I can still track literally everyone inside and outside the building. Just covertly. And she's thinking of all these reasons she should or shouldn't fight, and she's like, oh no, everything's happening. And then they open the door, and then, everyone's shocked. I like that the mayor uses his microphone, and he's like, Coyle! That's pretty good. What the devil? Vale says, also Taylor, have you noticed how Skitter does not have my exact body characteristics and matching hairstyle? It would be so embarrassing to look like a villain when I'm not in cosplay. Yeah. You can't say that you're in costume, so obviously she's an early 2010s cosplayer. She cosplays as though she was Skitter. And it's because Skitter wears a wig that's similar to Taylor's natural hair. So it's really easy to dress up as Skitter. That's part of why I picked it. Yes, she also wears glasses, just like me. That's part of what makes the costume so easy. Same build. Again. Let's see here. Oh, and Vale says, yes, cosplay was up and coming hobby for the youth back then. It did. It's hard for me to exactly track when it got popular because I think I was more in the anime scene, so like it was very normal to me long before it was normal to other people. So it's hard for me to like retroactively gauge when other people began to be like, yeah, cosplay. That's a thing that I've ever heard of. But yeah, then Coyle he does his villain monologue. He doesn't sound that cool, but he does do this whole like, I've started fires across the city to distract everyone while I took over. And then we learned that the mayor's niece is that's Dinah, and Skitter's like, I had heard that that one of the mayoral candidates' nieces, that's who Dinah was. But she didn't think it through. It's like, if there's 2 out of 3 plants and only one of them is a real person, like, I guess he could be using Dinah to blackmail them, but I don't know. It just seems like Taylor should have put 2 and 2 together, frankly. And where do you get Vale says, thanks, Chat GPT, By the late 20th century, cosplay had become an integral part of fan culture in the United States. We can't just take ChatGPT's word for things. It's probably plagiarized anyway. Let's see here. Yeah, so Coil's threatening everyone on stage, etc., including Pigot, who's not on stage. And, then he's like, Circus, kill them! Do it! And then, Circus throws 8 knives, and they all hit people. And then, Pigot's still up, and she's like, confronting Coil. Also, none of the people who got hit are dead as far as Taylor can see, but they're heaving like they're almost dead. And then Pigot's awesome because she's the best character, and she's not actually my favorite character, but I do like her a lot. She has her words, but then Coil has Circus hit Pigot, and when she throws additional knives, then boom, out of a teleporter arrive the wards, and just in time, my boyfriend and your boyfriend, Weld, he stops the knives like a true hero. And then, there's a big fight, and Taylor's like, damn, the wards never pull through, but I think they're going to pull through. And they're having this, like, epic moment for them compared to normal. They're doing great. Chariot's flying around. He's got, like, a disc on his back. But that Chariot, we're suspicious of him as an audience because we know what Taylor don't know, that he's a double agent. And Kid Win is blasting people with concussion guns, just taking out everybody because apparently these guns are fine to shoot at civilians. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Kid Win's gone all tinkerfied. He's red pilled and tinkerfied. But we have all this nonsense happening, and then Clock Blocker has done several of his standard trick to cover up assailants with like sheets and stuff, and uses Clock Blocker power to stop it. And let's see here. 2 + 4 × 5 says Kid Win's famous concussion gun, the gun that instantly gives you a concussion. Yeah. And then Weld gets people evacuating, Taylor's looking at the fight, and she's like, I could tell that even though they were wearing makeup or whatever, they still had bug bites. I guess maybe I felt a little bad. Maybe, I don't know. And then she decides that if someone died, she'd have to step in and help or whatever. But really, it's like, you're so stuck in this situation that even if someone did die, like, I don't think that she would strike. But she weighs her options and decides that revealing herself now and fighting Coil now would be a poor choice. A decision most unwise. So, she doesn't do that, and the wards try and get into position to finish the fight, Halo 3. And Leet is firing like an electricity gun at them or whatever too, and things are going pretty good for the wards overall. And then Coil flipping turns around and gets under cover of Uber and flips a switch, and this asshole has turned on a some sort of sabotaged power source in Kidwin's armor. And so they don't know what to do at first. Weld tears apart Kidwin's armor, and then they get out the power cell. Oh, I forgot to mention there was a moment when they turned on Chariot in a sudden move. Clockblocker leapt over toward him and froze him in time, and then Vista and Kidwin quickly wrapped him up in bindings while he was full frozen. But he was the saboteur. And then Kidwin uses the teleport at Weld's direction to teleport the bomb directly upwards, so hopefully it would explode in the air before falling back down to them. But much to their chagrin, this does not work out. The bomb itself is teleported to the front room, and it doesn't go as well in this scenario for the coiled up snake out there. The bomb explodes right next to Coil, and let's read out this part here. It says, I saw a flicker of light from the lobby, the glow of the device, and Coil wheeling around to face us, his screaming lost in the midst of the shrill whine and the shouts of the others. My eye-to-brain response was too slow to process everything that happened. Next, I saw it in snapshots, the swelling of energy of the sabotage power supply, Coil's body coming apart into pieces, the chairs of the auditorium and fragments of floorboards being thrown into the air as the explosion seemed to move in slow motion. Then it hit us, and I saw only white, felt only pain. That's a big cliffhanger to end our chapter on. A big bomb went off. You know what? The wards were having their most successful fight so far in the book, and then, they had to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. But, on the other hand, think of it this way. Their enemy was Coil and Circus and Uber and Leet, and they blew all those guys up. Am I seeing some sort of rock climbing wall person? I'm not sure what I'm looking at. 2 + 4 × 5. Cliffhanger. Ah, yes. That makes sense. Can you believe this nice, peaceful hallway has turned into a war zone where Coil has exploded to death? It's pretty crazy stuff. What will become of our young hero, Taylor? Arc stuff. This is a crazy turnaround to happen at this point in the arc. She's been working all this time to save Dinah, but then suddenly Coil's just dead. So that's pretty nuts. But I guess anyone can die. That's what they say. There's a lot of arc left. There's several more interludes, so we'll just see how these pieces fit in. As far as characters go, the characters in here, it's Danny and his friends are the important character. Obviously, there's an important character moment with Brian, so we'll get that out of the way first, since it's at the start. So, they just had sex. Can you believe it? People having sex. And Taylor thinks it was fine. It's just all right. And Brian's feeling insecure about stuff. He's worried about seeing a therapist still. He's not that interested about that. and even though Taylor really wants him to. But I don't know. They got along great this morning. I think they had one of their best interactions in a long time in the breakfast scene. And then, like I said in the characters section, or in the earlier section, I'll talk about these peoples. So, there are three main ones. There is, Kurt, who is like Danny's age-ish. Lacey, who is Danny's or Kurt's wife and similarly aged. And then there's Alexander, who is much younger, and they're all dock workers, and Danny looks super out of place with all these various people, but they all love him because he's their main union rep. Vale says Taylor is very supportive when she uses webs and bugs, but not so much with with words. Yes, truly. I think it's really good to get background characters like this, and they feel really fleshed out. As characters, they lean on like the existence of Danny in the story to like flesh out who they are, because we already know like what Danny's like and what his life is like, and so these characters just sort of fill in on people that we theoretically already know exist. Yeah, I think they're good and well drawn for how briefly we see them, and that's good. I guess I don't have that much more to say about thems. Vale says, "Oh, carrying forward the topic from last week about ruining a story with the interpreted movie slash anime. The scene could be all about Taylor letting her dad know she's dating Brian, and they have a big fight about it when where she storms out. Yeah, they could have a random fight where she storms out, and then the bombing happens, and then it totally changes the context for it, and then she's like, I'm extra guilty because I had a fight with my dad just before the bomb went. When the bomb goes off, it's like when the killer arrives. You gotta be safe from the killer. Oh man, that's gotta be one of me and Vic's fan parahumans that we come up with is fleshing out the idea of Wendy Williams' main fear, the killer. I gotta message her that idea. All right, and moving to Coil as a character and all his henchmen. Coil's ultimate plan. He comes out, and it's a failure. He fails, and the wards, they were doing so well, and they fail. Just failure all around. Taylor fails to act and fails to look away when a bomb is going off in her face. All the mayoral candidates fail to get out of the way of the knives. So does Pigot. This is terrible. Greg says, a killer, you say? Probably named Jeff. Vale saying Danny fails to protect his daughter. Exactly, yeah. She fails to protect her dad. Failure all around. That's the new theme of these chapters. Failure. Taylor fails to remember she's 16. Jack failed to kill her before her birthday. Terrible all around. I guess I don't know how much more to say about Coil. I guess I'll say about the wards. It's pretty snappy when they take down Chariot. They get him real fast. I'm impressed. Okay, so let's move on to the powers, knowledge, and world building, unless others have things to say about the characters. So I thought it was cool when we saw Chariot's new dealy bops. He's got a gun that's firing off electricity, similar to the one that Taylor had borrowed from Kid Win when they were in Arc 10. And then he is flying over the soldiers. He has not yet, when they do this slick maneuver on him, turned on Coil. Oftentimes, and we saw this, Greg and I have watched Legend of the Galactic Heroes and finished it recently. We'd long been watching it. And we got through a part where these two people were trying to betray someone, but the heat of the battle was too much, and if they ever gave up their line for like the amount of time that it would take to turn traitor, they would have just also died in the battle. So they were just like caught in the heat of battle until all of the traitors had just been killed in normal firefights. As maybe I'm misremembering, and one of them did end up being able to betray, but I just remember more and more of them getting owned. So Chariot kind of doesn't have the correct moment to switch, and his new costume is now this part sounds lame. Single wheel rollerblades at his toes. That sounds dumb. But a flight system that doesn't seem to be attached to him, a disc the size of a car tire floating behind his head and shoulders, and it's almost luminescent with energy, sounds like that video game, the one with Mercy. The Mercy character model is clearly stolen from no other things look like that. It says the wings of his flight suit were tipped with jets of gold light, and they float out to either side. So that sounds neat. He has like a little detached Gundam float pack thing that he flies around with. Too bad he's a damn dirty traitor, and then Clock Blocker has to time freeze him. Overwatch, that's what Greg knew that I meant. I've never played Overwatch, but certainly I've seen much of the imagery because many people play Overwatch. Yeah, they have a cool fight. The wards win really well, and I'm impressed with them, except all the bad stuff at the end. I think there's a lot of great world building as far as like Taylor seeing the state of the city from other people's perspective in a way, and then seeing the mayoral debate. I think it adds a lot of good texture. And I think both the other two candidates, like, I would just read this debate if this debate was something Wildbow had written as a full thing that was not interrupted by a bomb. So, I guess I also am interested in the type of media where you're just watching characters have a political debate on stage. So, I am already the target audience. And yeah, I guess I don't have that much more to say. Good chapters, really good chapters that I do like. But looking over at this audience participation, First, we have 2 plus 4 times 5. And the question again was, which character from Brockton Bay do you want to be the mayor? And we've got, who do I want as mayor? Skitter, with Tattletale and the Undersiders backing her up. Who would be best as mayor? Maybe Coil, but only if nobody obstructs him or his goals. I don't know. I don't think that Coil would be a good mayor regardless. Like, he might be in some way better than some existing mayor somewhere who's worse than him. But I really do think that he's just so he's so weird and power hungry, and I imagine him having like a really authoritarian police force, and you know, yeah, I think he would just suck, and he would be like, "But I'm super efficient. I'm the greatest," and it would be all like how all the various bad people of history argued that their position was fine because they were efficient, but they actually weren't. They were lying with the propagandists. I just think Coyle would be bad at the job because he's an asshole. Greg says Danny Hebert. He's used to managing people and working around the local villains, both those that wear capes and those that don't. He cares about revitalizing the town and its infrastructure. I'm sure he'll have words to say about mismanagement in some of the local schools. He's more than a hero. He's a union man. And Greg wins the prize of the day for quoting Miles O'Brien and Deep Space Nine. Good show, Greg, for being the daily winner. Yeah, I mean, that is a good argument. I agree. He knows about running, not only like managing people, but managing people to actually like who need to get stuff done for real. Like I know a lot of managers who they manage their people into doing nothing. But Danny's effective. We got Vale saying weird and power hungry and authoritarian. So a mayor. Well, I mean, sure, but there are such things as good leaders. Just because we had many bad leaders. Like if Danny was leader. I know, even in the fictional story, the fictional character who leads the thing isn't the good guy. 2 plus 4 times 5 says, why would anyone want to be the Daily Wiener? Greg says, I agree. I don't trust Coyle to lead. Now that Calvert fellow, he seems trustworthy. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't think that he could come up with solutions that I find adequate to problems because he views the world in such a like cold, weird way. And of course, Vale is nodding along and voting for Calvert. Vale says on the answer to the question, Imp. There is simply no better possible choice to govern a city. There will be no instances in her entire tenure that anyone will remember her doing something embarrassing. Every public appearance and speech will be perfect. Crime will drop anywhere it needs to drop and be properly ignored otherwise. The less well-to-do will discover new sources of income appearing out of seemingly nowhere, and evil money-hoarding criminals, except a couple maybe, will repeatedly discover that they have lost everything. The city will prosper, and Aisha LeBourne will go down in history as the coolest mayor ever. That's a pretty good idea. My mayor is my counterpoint mayor to Coyle is Mayor Pigot. Just as crazy, and has all sorts of messed up feelings about certain groups of people, but I think she'd be a better mayor than Coyle. Vale, yes, vote in. Um, so, no, who would I put as mayor? Who would I put as mayor? You know what? I know it's character knowledge from Ward from a chapter where you see from this character's perspective, but I think Dauntless would be a really good mayor. He's very self-doubting, but somehow it never gets in his way. He just can't feel other people's love, so he tries really hard. So I think he would try really hard as mayor and do the right thing, but also feel like, oh man, nobody likes me. Vale says, hot take, Alan Barnes. Unequivocally, no. He's not getting to be mayor in this stream. I will agree to several mayors. Skitter for mayor, Danny for mayor, Imp for mayor, Dauntless for mayor, Alan Barnes no, Coil no. Pigo for mayor. Oh, Vale hears my no and raises me 2 yeses. I think I've been outvoted. So I don't have much more to say about these 2 lovely chapters, even though they were very good. Like I said, I kept sitting down to write them, and I just kept coming up blank. Don't know. But I shall start the outro music. Bill says, I have so much money, I can keep typing yes till you're broke. This is how real winners win. Take care, and thanks as always. Thank you, Vale. And thank you, Greg. And thank you, 2 plus 4 times 5 for being here in the audience. So, the music used, as has been the case for arcs 15 and 16, is Monarch by ScarlettXOX. You can find her content at twitch.tv/Scarlett_Rogue. I might try and find her other band information so I can link something that people could buy from her. In case, I mean, you can support her with stuff on Twitch, but if you just want to directly buy an album or something, maybe I'll find where those are purchasable. Oh, I got a good stream and a cheers from 2 plus 4 times 5 and Greg respectively. Bye. But our Discord server link can be found in the channel description and the stream description. The author of the work being discussed is Wildbow, and his Patreon is patreon.com/Wildbow. The full text of the work is available for free at parahumans.wordpress.com, and the fan-made audiobook of the entire work is available at audioworm.rain-online.org. So I am going to let the rest of the music play out, and then that's all for this week.